Hi everyone, Social17 here. Let me get first, like usual. I do not own this picture. Not pay video. Okay, so here's the thing. I decided on something. I decided to change it. My friend suggested something. Sorry, my friend suggested something to me on on a character, and I'm not gonna say what, but just know you're gonna be like, why in the future? I'm gonna be like, this is a character I'd never even do at all, at all basically. So yeah, and two, basically I'm just Naruto. I replaced him, so my choice. I realize. But anyways, we are basically having the part of the tuning exams where it would be in the second one, but it's the written portion. I decided to go back to that and fix it since I got tired. Alright? So, anyways. Let's start. So, this is What If I Replaced Naruto Part 3. Alright? So basically, we have me, Sakura, and Sasuke, basically, walking into the testing area for the first, portion of the training exams. When we walk in, everyone looks at us, and, well, they're all, putting killer intent on us just to try to show that they're not messing around. And I just legit just look at them and I just say in my head, Kurama, how do I show them some real killer intent? Which he just tells me, are you sure about that? He goes, yeah, but can you just tell me? He's like, alright, but if they all start freaking out, don't blame me. He was like, I won't. So Kurama tells me how to, have killer intent. Basically, bloodlust. And have, my, basically, enemies now will be able to feel it. That is not Kurama's. My own. So, as I close my eyes, Sakura and Sasuke look at me. Shikamaru, who was about to come up and, come over, talk to us. He sees my eyes closed, but then all of a sudden, when I open up my eyes, and I glare at, everyone else in the room, since this is my first time, I have no control on who gets it. Yeah. Everyone can just feel the amount of killer intent and bloodlust, and let's just say this. Some of them, even though I basically only killed Gato men, I'm not at a substantial level where everyone would be afraid, but it's Kurama gave me some of his own chakra, so without me knowing, and the killer 10 is so much, someone passes out, and then I just smirk at that and just stop. I just look over, I see Sasuke shaking. I see then Sakura legit was she was about to faint, but then I just grab her shoulder. I'm like, hey, you faint, we fail. Stay awake. And she was like, yeah, but what was that? He goes, killer tent. Basically, that pressure we felt on us was everyone in this room combined it together on us. I just gave them their own taste of medicine. That's all. Anyway, she nods, which Sasuke's thinking, what the? That was his? That's... That was worse than Zabuza's. The Nine Tails is only a little bit of Kurama's killer intent is definitely could kill a normal, basically, person. For some, it'll basically, kill them instantly. For some, it'll basically make them pass out or basically be afraid. Now, though, Shikamaru comes over, he's like, what the? Naruto, did you do that? I just look at him like, hey, Shika. Yeah, I don't like when people actually try to make me be afraid of them. They have to earn that in battle, not by just some pathetic way of, ways of basically killer intent or bloodlust. So, what do you think this test is going to be about? And then all of a sudden, I hear Ino saying Sasuke-kun, and she runs over and hugs him, and I roll my eyes. And I look at Sakura when she was about to say something, but she was just looking at me, basically, and she was going to ask me something, which that kind of surprises me a little bit. And then, Kiba talks and all that. Basically, Kabuto will come over and, tell us we're all making a scene and stuff, and it's just, wow. I just look at Kabuto, I'm just not even really caring, just looking at him, and then I just look away. Which, I'm thinking to myself, should I just kill him straight up? I mean, he's going to be a problem in the future, but he's needed. As I look at Kabuto and go like, you're kind of lucky. Which, I mean, I wasn't paying attention, and he was like, saying he basically been in this test 7 times. And I look at him and I said that, you're kind of lucky. And he's like, huh? Like, well, you're lucky. He's like, please elaborate. He was like, which Chromaton, like, legit, I'm just looking at everyone, like, well, you probably meant, I wasn't paying attention, I only heard about 7 times, so, just saying you're lucky, so I guess you took this tuning exam 7 times. You're lucky you're even allowed to basically get back in. No offense. Which Kabuto does with his glasses, pushes them up a little bit. He was like, none taken. Now then, who would like to know? As basically Sasuke says, any information, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke says, Naruto Uzumaki, Rocket Lee, and Gar of the Sand. In which they know information about Gaara and Lee, and then with basically me, it's everything to do with what it has basically on the academy, and a little bit of, basically I was trained with basically Lee, and, well, nothing else, even about the C rank mission that I went to A rank, and nothing else about what I'd done. And I'm thinking, well, since I didn't have enough time to get my no hand signs down, then he basically adds in saying, also, Kabuto would say, Zabuza and Zabuza, Demon the Mist, and Haku basically have been in the Leaf Village before the Chunin exams, all because of Team 7, especially, Team 7, rookie Naruto Uzumaki basically convinced them to be a part of Konoha. And so I just shrug at that. I'm like, it was no big deal. I mean, truly. He didn't want to do no more being a mercenary. And, well, Haku wanted to be apart. Basically, just be in one place and live his life. Which, which Kabuto actually smiles at that. Hold up. And then basically, Kabuto, while he's smiling, he goes like, that was very nice of you, Uzumaki. And I'm looking at him, and I just say, nice? Yeah. I mean, it was better off than killing them. Instead, just like walking to his seat, and, well, Ino just says, basically Sasuke could have beat them. And besides, Naruto's too weak to ever kill anyone. Which, well, she looks at Sakura, she goes right, and she just doesn't say nothing along with Sasuke. Which Kabuto raises his eye, he goes like, wait, has he actually killed people? Which Sasuke just says this, brutally. Battlefield, yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about it. Sakura just goes like, if I was his enemy, I would rather die by someone else's hands. And, she basically walks to his seat, too. Basically, it's the seats in canon, which I'm right next to Hinata, and I look over to the side. She's still timid, and, she's blushing. I just sigh, I'm like, hello there, Hinata. How are you? In which she goes, I'm good, Naruto-kun. And I'm like, just roll my eyes, and I'm just like, look. How should I say this without hurting your feelings? I say that to myself. I'm like, Hanada, do you not, know I've been acting different lately? Which she does nod, and she goes, yes, I mean, you train, but it seems different. Your, also, personality has changed. You're not loud, you're calmer and quiet. A little. But also, basically adding it was also sort of crazy. She was, and it's just not like, yeah. I just changed Hinata, and, well, basically I'm thinking, Kurama, help. I thought she would get over me. I don't know if she did or not. Can you tell me with your, sense? Which Kurama just says, I can't. The seal. How about I just rip a little bit off, and next thing you know, you basically can go use my senses. Which then Kurama just say, you're willing to do them? Like, I don't care. He's like, Jonins are here. Then I'm like, crud, never mind then. He goes, good. Now, just flare a little bit of your chakra mixed with mine. And like, yeah, I gotcha. So I do that for a split second, and Kurama just says, yep, still in love. And I'm like, I don't, she's just way too nice. I don't want to be mean to her. This stinks. In which Kurama's just saying, yeah, who knows, maybe that brat, or Gaki, basically, emotions for Sakura are still, a part of you. At which I'm like, blinking. I'm like, I swear if they are, I'm not gonna try to destroy them, actually. No offense. I want to like a little bit of Naruto, so yeah, saving her and protecting her, I don't mind. I mean, it gives me some chances to actually learn some new stuff. Which Kurama just blinks and he goes like, well, that's new. Has she grown on you? And I just like, I don't know, I'm weird, and I do sometimes the stuff that doesn't make sense, and this will be one of them. Alright, well, enough talk. I'm gonna watch some fairy tale. And I'm like, alright, bye, Kurama. So, after that, Hanato was just looking at me and like, oh, sorry. Lost train of thought. I was kind of then went to thinking about this, exam. And she goes, oh, it's fine. I'm like, well, anyways, I wonder where Ibuki's gonna come in. And then, right on cue, as soon as I say that, he does. But she just looked at me and goes like, how did you, do you? I just shrug. And I'm basically thinking, I have good timing. So, Ibuki would say everything that he was saying in canon, about the test and such. So, yeah, just give me a minute, guys. Alright, so, when Ibuki says about the test, to begin, I would flip over my paper and, well, I would just look at the questions. In truth, even though I studied, I do know them, at least half of them, and then I'll answer. For the rest of them, I just took a guess, but I know it ain't right. So, I would flip over the papers, basically saying I'm done for now. And then basically I still have some time. Everyone's just doing what they're doing, as I'm just put my head on the table, but I'm looking at the clock. And so, a couple of minutes pass, the same amount of time before then the test, as then I basically put my head back up, stretch, and then flip over the paper, as I see about, I basically, see about so many people, but I closed my eyes and I sensed the chakra, and I found some tunings in, the actual, basically, testing area with amongst, people, with their, genins. And so, I basically do something that's very, very, very mean. I basically look at the time, and I have only, about 3 minutes. So, I basically just grin and looking at Ibiki, and he's just looking at me staring. He's thinking, what am I going to do? You see, no one knows besides Kakashi and Hiruzen about me using chakra with no hand signs. So, as I just grin and smile, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, a fog is rolling into the room, which everyone gets all confused until it becomes very dense. So, basically in the monitor room where Hiruzen and the other Joneses are, all of a sudden Zabuza walks in and he goes like, "So, did I miss the little rookies? The rookies, basically." In which Hiruzen goes like, "Zabuza, did you use your, hidden mist jutsu?" Which Zabuza goes like, "No, I didn't." Wait. As he looks at Kakashi, he goes like, "Did your brat do it?" Which everyone just looks at, Kakashi, and Kakashi goes, "Probably. I mean, it depends on which one you're talking about. Sakura can't do anything. Sasuke doesn't even know it because he didn't have the Sharingan." Which he goes like, "The blonde one with the whiskers." He's like, "Oh, Naruto. Yeah, I try to remember his name because I haven't seen him in a while." He's like, "Probably did it." And then all of a sudden, when basically, while this is all happening, I legit just go real quick and I find a paper with all the right answers. How do I know? Well, I basically, how should I say this? I basically went to the Chunin and with the paper there, and I switched up. I switched my paper with his, and the only reason why they don't notice is, how should I say this? I'm suppressing my chakra and somehow, basically making my footsteps sound very quiet. Somehow in some way I don't even understand how it's happening. Basically, Kurama was just was watching it, and then he basically somehow saw what I was doing and kind of chuckles. And he goes, "I'll help him out with this little thing." And he pours some chocolate into my feet to make them silent. As I do switch out the papers with a Chunin, and I do get back to my seat, basically, I did then, while the fog was in the air, I went over with my own, basically pencil, so it looked like I wrote it. And so, basically, the reason how they would not know it's me because of certain things, I would say, the section where it was, and the 10th question, I'm just like, should I answer just like Naruto after a few minutes? Probably. So when the fog, starts to leave, all of a sudden the Chunin that I switch the papers out sees the answers. He's like, "Wait, what? I didn't put these down." He looks around and no one knows what happens. I'm just still looking at Ibiki, basically giving him a question and look like saying, "What happened?" He's just looking at me and just staring. He's like, did he do it? I knew he didn't know that any jutsus besides the Shao clone and tree walking from Kakashi. So, yeah, they don't really know what I can do. But anyways, so after that, what happens is everything would go the same. Some people would leave, and then all of a sudden, I actually declared exactly the same way as Naruto does. After the exact same people leave. Now though, with Inko, the same thing would happen, but when we get to the Forest of Death, this is what changed. So she's talking about the Forest of Death, about basically we have to sign the papers and such, and basically explain about it. As I'm legit just looking at her, just paying attention, as and then I just like kind of say this to myself, like, I wonder how the tigers would taste in there, if there are any. Which Sasuke just like looking at me like, are you? As all of a sudden a kunai basically gets thrown, passes him, cuts his cheek a little, and then basically she licks it, but then she like spits it out. She's like, ugh, man, your blood tastes awful. In which Sakura is like fuming at that. Basically, Sasuke like, do you know who I am? And I'm like, and I legit just look at Sasuke like, nobody cares. Just, she's a special Jonin. You can't do crap to her. Like, really. In which Sasuke just looks at me glaring. Which Anko just, cringe. He goes like, who are you? Like, Naruto is like Uzumaki. It's a pleasure to meet you. Well, Naruto, I like you. I'm like, friends? She does nod. I'm like, cool. Oh, and, Grass Ninja, I'll take that kunai. And which, Anko looks back and she sees Orochimaru a bit disguised. And she was like, she does hand me the kunai. I'm like, thanks. And, I didn't know a ton could be that long. In which, I would say she just comes as excusing chakra enhancing. As I just shrug. But I'm like, so dumb, Orochimaru, so dumb. So basically, after the Grass Ninja leave, I just, give the kunai to Orochimaru. I mean, not to Orochimaru, to Enko. As I just say this. Well, see maybe later, Enko if we survive to the next round. In which she does smile at that. So, after we get our scroll, I legit, basically Sasuke and Sakura were just waiting for the gates to open. As I just grabbed Sakura, and like, Sasuke, just stay here. Me and Sakura had to have a quick talk. And when Sakura just glaring at me, and because she was basically being fangirl moments, as I drag her over to a distance where no one can hear us, she was like, "What do you want, Naruto Baka?" And I just literally just look at her and just say, sigh. I'm like, Sakura, I'm gonna only say this once. So get it through that big head of yours. In which she's just kind of shocked about it because I never said anything about her head. That was insulting about it. So that kind of gave her a flashback. I'm like, this is called the Forest of Death. I do not need you to be all fangirl. Okay? It's bad enough you do not train and starve yourself just to keep a figure for Sasuke who doesn't even care about you. He would rather probably kill you than save you or leave you to die. Anyway, she just looked at me like, are you just saying that so we can go out on a date? I'm like, I legit just look at her, and all of a sudden I just have chakra in my hand, basically just lightning, in which she just looked at me like, even I would do it right now, and I don't care about the test. But then I deactivate. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to be mean or threatening to you, but you're the weakest link on the team, and I don't want you to die. I mean, I just rubbed the back of my head like, besides, You haven't changed to be the person I know you can be. Like, legit. Stop acting like a fangirl so much. There's nothing good about the Uchiha. He's brooding. He only cares about revenge. He doesn't even care about any one of you girls when you were when we were in the academy, basically. Anytime you did ask him out multiple times, you basically were rejected. And then when I come over to ask you out, you reject me, but with violence and punching. How long have I done that for you? And when she's just looking at him, and then she goes, a couple of years, probably ever since the academy started. Before us, probably 6 years, 5 years. So look. The last time you rejected me, I gave up. I'm not gonna be the punching bag, your support, your rock, your center. But I want you to become the Sakura Haruno that I know you can be. A strong Konoichi that doesn't need no Uchiha basically by your side. I'm not just saying that just so I can go on a date with you. I definitely gave up on that. Sorry. And I just started walking away. It's basically Kurama just like legit. I think Kurama would just be laughing and just be like, okay, that was kind of harsh, but you alright? You alright, kid? And I'm like, yeah. Just my chest hurts a little. As I look back, I do see Sakura crying a little. And then I just like wince in pain from that. Like, yep, definitely Naruto, even though he's not around no more, this body still feels pain. Anytime she cries. I didn't want to do that. I hate when I make a girl cry. So, basically, after that, after I say that, I just get right next to Sasuke. He's like, what happened to her? I'm like, do you even care? Which he just looks at me and just stares back in front. I'm like, exactly, you don't. So, quick question. Which he just looks at me. He was like, if you had to kill Sakura for power, would you? In which Sasuke just says nothing. I'm like, so, I'm taking that as a yes. Is there any secret about your Chiha eyes I need to know about? Say if there's like another level to it? I mean, come on. The Chiha eyes able to copy any jutsu just by seeing the hand signs? It has to be like another level to it, right? I mean, you're the great Sasuke Uchiha. I bet you'll tell someone as weak as me, right? Which Sasuke does look, and he goes, I know what you're trying to do, but it won't work. I'm like, really? He goes, yes. You want me to try to give you the secrets, and try to get a counter, how should I say? It is a counter to your eyes. Look. If we pass or not, and we're still a team, I'd like to know about my, teammates' eyes if they have an upgrade. So that way I can better prepare myself. And when Sasuke thinks about that, he goes like, alright, so, yeah. My eyes do have another level. It's called the Mangekyo Sharingan. I needed to kill a loved one, or my best friend, or they die right in front of me. In which, basically, I just look at Sasuke, I'm like, does it, what do you mean by loved one? In which Sasuke just says, oh, well, someone I love, and they left me back. Basically. And he's like, okay. Then I'm just, looking forward, and then he goes like, adding, goes like, or someone loves me enough to be one-sided. In which I just look at Sasuke, he just had a grin, I'm like, dude, that's harsh. So let me guess. If Sakura turns out to be useless, and then he just nods. Which I just sigh and again just shake my head. Anyways. So, when Sakura comes back, the gates open and we rush in. Everything would go the same as in canon, but the thing is, I don't get trapped by the giant snake. I basically, when I basically see the snake about to eat me, all of a sudden I just basically shoot fire into its freaking mouth as it basically eats the fire as it just keeps basically eating the fire and then blows up. I'm like, snakes. It had to be snakes. So, hold up. Alright, so when Orochimaru pretends to be me and everything, I do land on the tree branch and be like dentures like Naruto, and I say, I forgot the password. In which Sasuke smiles at that, which Orochimaru just look at me and saying, oh, you shouldn't have been here. My little friend should have dealt with you. I'm like, oh, you mean the big giant snake? Yeah, sorry, it got burnt to a crisp. So I just waited. Which Orochimaru was like, huh? I'm like, yeah, I just waited. I mean, it was an interesting show. You pretended to be me. I mean, really. But the thing is, I'm not allowed and oversighted no more. So, how about you get rid of the skin, Orochimaru, and let's see what you're made of. Which he just looked at me and eyes widen, and then he just chuckles as he rips off the fake face. He's like, so, how did you know? It's like, easily, the long ass tongue. Like, no one has that besides you. Read a book, and basically snakes have long tongues. Besides another animal, but anyways, besides the point. Let's see, let's see what you're made of. And basically, I just like say Multi-Shadow Jutsu, as basically let's just say about 50 clones appear, which Orochimaru is actually pretty somewhat impressed. And he goes, don't get in my way. I just shrug, but like, alright boys, take him on! As I legit, kind of like just do something really sneaky. As when the Shadow Clones are basically rushing towards Orochimaru, I basically get rid of my chakra signature and I just jump back and hide. As I'm watching the clones basically being destroyed and such, as I do basically stop hiding my chakra signature, make another clone to basically go into the fight, but this one's a little bit more reinforced. So, as that is happening, as basically Orochimaru is taking on the whole entire, clone army I made, basically 51, Sasuke wants to give him the Earth Scroll or Heaven Scroll, as the clone punches Sasuke, and Orochimaru does summon out another snake, and that whole entire scene with, basically about the scaredy cat with Sasuke happens. So, and then after basically the 8 trigram, seal, and the clone does fall down, as I'm just thinking, okay, this may hurt. This really may hurt me. I have a feeling, but okay. So, I do see then Sasuke basically actual fighting Orochimaru. And then basically, or in this case, he will get the third Tomoe, because Orochimaru is pushing him. So though, all of a sudden, when Sakura basically through the kunai and has the actual clone basically dangling, and I'm just smirking, and then I already know the clone's gonna disperse. Kurama did warn me saying, your chakra may be sealed and I may not be able to contact you. This has never happened with a clone, so be prepared. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So, and so when basically Orochimaru's fighting Sasuke, Orochimaru did a look and he saw my body fell, and when I was just dangling. He just smirks and he goes like, "Now that boy is." And then he heard the poof, in which Sasuke already got the third Tomoe and such. Sakura shot along with Orochimaru, as then all of a sudden I just come out of nowhere, and well, I just say, "Wind style, wind dragon," as basically one wind dragon coming out of nowhere hits Orochimaru, sending him flying off the branch onto another tree. As he looks, he just sees me. He's like, "How?" I'm like, "Easy, just reinforce a clone. Duh. I mean, I thought you were smart." And he just grips his teeth and goes like, "You've been getting in my way." As I legit just say like, "And I don't care. Seriously, I don't." In which he's just like, "I never meant to get in so disrespectful to a legendary Sani." I'm like, "Legendary Sani? You're a mad scientist who basically wants to basically give him a hickey and then take his body for a joyride later on." Yeah, Sani. Which he's like, look at me, confused for a very little bit. I'm just looking at him with a smile. He's like, "How? How do you know this?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know how I know it. But anyways, you should probably look down." He was like, "Huh?" As in all of a sudden, like mud bullets from a dragon head coming out of nowhere. As he jumps off of the troopers, as it just hits. As he's like, "What the?" I'm like, I guess I need to stop, playing with you. As I basically have this grin on my face, but Sasuke's like, "Naruto, what are you?" As I just looking at me like, "Just shut it." "Sakura, get ready to move." Where she's like, "Naruto," it was basically I'm just looking at her and just telling her basically, basically again, "Get ready to move." As all of a sudden, multiple wind currents are coming into the air, as if basically three heads are basically being formed. And they're like, "Wind style, wind summoning, King Ghidorah." As basically all of a sudden, Orochimaru just sees a big giant wind creature, just like looking down at him, within basically just like screeching, which everyone hears. And let's just say this: Unko is on the outside of the basically forest. The dev eating Dango. When she hears that screeching, she just sees a three-headed beast of wind looking down at someplace, and she's like, what is that?" And she's just rushing along with some Anbu, which Orochimaru is like, "What? What is this jutsu? How is this even possible? You did no hand signs." I'm like, I just shrug it like, you should really worry about him. As I legit just look at Sakura, I'm like, "Come on, let's go." As I just jump off of the branch, she immediately jumps. Sasuke just looking at King Ghidorah and looking at me, gripping his fist. As Orochimaru seeing this, he basically jumps onto a tree, basically dodging ahead of Ghidorah, and he just sees my back and he has this grin. He's like, "Naruto Uzumaki, Kabuto had no information on this from you. This is very interesting." It's a good thing I made a modified version of the trigram sealant, basically trigram, basically 8 seal trigram palm. I want to see what you'll do if I gave you a little curse. In which, basically Orochimaru basically does hand signs and summon out his main, basically summon, I think, Menba, basically a purple snake that says about 1,000, basically, 1,000 sacrifices to him, basically that snake, as he basically tells him why you call, as Orochimaru just says it quickly, "Do not answer, do not talk to me like that right now. We are in a dangerous situation, or should I say I am." and I need your help. In which he looks up, he basically sees the beast, and he just basically Orochimaru can feel the snake just having a happy snake sound, and so Sakura is like right next to me, like, how long can you keep that going? And like that, well, basically that beast I made out of wind, seen up a lot of chakra. Probably a good 25 minutes. She goes, that long? Like, yeah. You kidding me? That thing can destroy Konoha in basically about a minute. And where Sasuke was like, how are you able to do this with no hand signs? Naruto was like, enough questions, let's just go. As I just keep, going. So, 25, well, technically 15 minutes later, actually. Because Orochimaru Snake was able to bite off a piece of Ghidorah's wind neck off, and then, like, the head was taking actual slower time to reform. As I saying, crap, I have to release it. As basically I do release, as basically Orochimaru desummons his, main summon as it turns into a mud clone. Yeah. And so, out of nowhere, after a few distance where we stop, at the exact same area where the tree is, where Sakura will actually, have Sasuke and can have Sakura will have Naruto and Sasuke sleeping. All of a sudden, we're there, as I just, like, sigh. I'm like, okay, I think we're safe for the time being. As all of a sudden, I get kicked in the stomach, and flying into a tree. As I just like, ah! As I saw a little blood was basically, came out, basically, after I coughed, some blood came out. And I'm thinking to myself, crap, he's here. Wait, mud clone. Darn it. I forgot. As basically Orochimaru basically bites Sasuke's neck, gave him the curse mark. As then basically I get up, I'm saying, crap, I have to try to kill him. Okay, let's see what I can do with this. As I'm actually trying, basically using lightning chakra in my hand. As Orochimaru sees it, as he basically knows I didn't have no hand signs, but yet somehow very powerful. As I just start running at top speed. As I'm just saying, Shidori! It was basically a funnel. Well, technically, if I really think about it, I don't think I actually would, get that tunnel vision, but at the same time I do believe, well, not yet, Kurama's eyes will come in handy, but anyways, Orochimaru does, and, like, stop it by holding my wrist. I'm thinking, crap, as then he holds me up. I'm like, okay. What? Don't like the little friend I summoned out of wind? And then he just kind of grinned. He was like, you're interesting. Let me give you a little gift. As then all of a sudden I see the trigram seal. I'm like, crap. It's gonna cut off my connection. My chakra control's gonna be crap then. As then all of a sudden, instead of like the blue and then the kanjis come on, all of a sudden they turn to purple. Then to black. Then the kanjis change. I'm like, wait, what? As he does slam it into my stomach, as, well, what happens is I do pass out. And then he just laughs at that. He goes, I hope you like my gift. You will be in a very deep, no, somewhat sleep. As he looks at Sakura, he goes like, keep them both safe. Especially the blonde one. He may be troublesome in the future for me, but he's a good test subject for this new sealing technique I made. As he just disappears into the woods. Now, what happens is simple. I'm passed out. I'm able to hear Sakura, taking care of us, talking, saying how useless she is, and, basically she hasn't trained much. So, even though I basically am hearing it, I can also hear Kurama talking, but I can't talk back. It's like I'm just floating inside in the sewers of the mindscape, and yet I can't do nothing. But for some weird reason, I can feel a massive amount of chakras being put into on my stomach. As that is then going basically as that like energy is going onto the chest. Well, basically, the chest and then moving up to be around the shoulder. As I do not know what's going on. Kurama, though I can hear him saying, seems like that snake did something. The Shimigami's seal that reinforced this has changed. Seems like, yes, my life is not tied to you no more. Now, I don't say nothing. It seems like that has changed now. Orochimaru has changed the seal significantly. I'll still have my chakra be fed to you slowly. Not worry. He did reinforce it, but he also has given you maybe a good condition. We should thank him. I'm basically modifying it now, in which nothing happens. And so, when Sakura's in danger, everything will go the same. When Sasuke basically is, in the curse mode, power radiating, he basically goes crazy. Sasuke, brutal, which after he basically breaks both of the guys' arms and tries to rip them off, Sakura is like, Sasuke, stop! He's defeated! In which he just looks at her, and for some reason the way he looks at her is with a grin. As, well, when he goes over to Sakura, she's like backing away slowly, but then all of a sudden he just appears right in front and grabs her by the throat. As he goes, I always hated you. I never really liked you. So, as he's coating his fist in chakra, he goes, I hope you had a nice life, or no. As he's basically, throwing his fist at Sakura, she screams out for help. And for some rare reason, I don't understand it, but when I basically hear that cry for help, my eyes open and I'm just gone for basically a split second and stop Sasuke's fist. Now though, I do have markings coming off of me, but they're going from my right shoulder, all the way up to around my neck, and basically down half, basically to both, just down. So basically across and down. As I'm just like, that's enough, Sasuke. We don't want to kill a comrade. Now, do we? Which Sasuke just looking at me, he goes like, oh, I cannot wait till I kill you, Naruto. I see he drove Sakura and tries to, punch me as I dodge. And then immediately, basically, when I basically have my fist, clench, I'm about to throw a punch to Sasuke, I noticed something about it. It was my elemental. I didn't put no chakra into my fist or anything, but elemental is basically, my elemental is going around. I would say wind. Wind is going around my fist as I punch Sasuke, and when it hits him, there's like an explosion of wind pushing him back, but also cutting him. As he's like, what? As I'm just looking at both my fists, and then I just grin. As I clench them even, tighter, as then fire appears on them. And I don't feel like my chakra is being drained. I'm like, wait, what's going on? I say this in my head. Kurama says, well, the Shimigami seal has changed into where you're absorbing something. Energy source that's, you're not supposed to be ready for. And I go like, wait, nature chakra. He goes like, yes. It seems the seal is absorbing it now fully, and I basically modified it where the seal will still be affecting, well, the seal that Minato put on Naruto to basically have me cipher some of my power to him solely, giving it, as I just basically do a mental nod. I'm like, thanks for modifying this then, Kurama. Because the snake did most of the work, I just changed it. It would have affected us pretty badly. And so, I launch forward towards Sasuke, and, well, he tries to block as I basically put, have my fist going into his, X, basically his arms that he made with an X to stop. As I break his guards, my fist hit him in the face, sent him down into the ground. Basically, like, he hits the ground, he bounces off, and then all of a sudden, he just sees fire going into my foot as I kick him, send him flying up into the air. And so, basically, one hand with black flames, another hand with red flames, jumping in the air, and then collide them both, hitting Sasuke, and, well, yeah. He goes basically down, being unconscious as the seals, basically the cursed seal, retracts. And I just, basically this marking that would appear on me go back into the seal too, as I'm like, okay, that was awesome. Sakura, as I just see her and, she's looking at me and with tears in her eyes, and I just walking over to her, and so I just hug her. I'm like, it's okay. He's not gonna hurt you. I promise. And so she cries, saying she really thought she was going to die, basically. And yeah, I just basically comfort her. Now, give me a minute. Alright, so basically, after a few minutes pass, I can see that she's stopped and calmed down. I ask, hey, you alright? She does nod, and she goes, but what happened to Sasuke? And I'm like, no, Sasuke-kun? She does not know. I'm like, questioning look at her, like, are you Orochimaru? And she goes like, no! I'm like, really? She goes, I'm not Orochimaru, no, Tabaka! As I, basically dodge a punch, I'm like, yep, definitely Sakura. I have a grin on her face, and she just huffs. But, she does smile at that, too. I'm like, okay. Well, he's knocked out. Only. So don't worry. And, well, you're probably wondering a few things, right? Which she does not. As I just sigh, be like, look, there's some things I can't tell you. But let's just say this. I basically just had something that I had a bad feeling, but are you basically mostly wondering about what was on Sasuke? Well, she does not. And he was like, well, how should I say this? This is a curse. A cursed seal. Given by Orochimaru. Basically, it's something that would allow him to take something from Sasuke. And, well, it also gives you a power boost. A big one, depending on which stage you're in. But it also is working like a drug. The more power you use from it, the more you'll want to use it. And, well, sorry to tell you this, Sakura, but this brought the worst in Sasuke. The part that he doesn't care. His true colors, basically, which Sakura eyes widen, and she goes, but that, I just look at her, I'm like, I may be wrong, but I do know someone that has a curse seal that can explain it more to you. Alright? Well, she goes, wait, you know someone with a curse seal? And I just nod, I'm like, she's a proctor at the Chunin exams. the one we were basically given the papers from, where she goes, "Wait, her?" I'm like, "Yeah." Quick story: apprentice to Orochimaru, betrayed her, gave her that as a farewell present, and well, you know. Which she goes, "I see. So because she worked with him, she'll know what this does." Yeah. Anyways, I just make a call like, we're gonna get out of here. I don't want to basically stay here that long. By the way, did she take the scroll? I mean, well, not she, he. Which Sakura does not know. I'm like, alright then, let's get going. As the clone gets Sasuke, we just run off. As I'm just thinking to myself, I need to get resistance seals on me soon. I don't need no gravity seals no more. So, I release the gravity seals and I'm just going running at the exact same speed Sakura is. And I'm gonna say it takes a while to get there, maybe like an hour or two. So, basically Sasuke wakes up, we get there, we met Kabuto, we do fight some people. And, well, what happens next is simple. When we basically open up the pages, the scroll with Aruka, so that'll be the same. Now then, Aruka would say that since we are, like you say, like 2 days early, we can basically train, relax, and do whatever else we would normally do, as I just nod. And so, I look at Sakura. Sasuke already went. Sakura is just like, was looking at down the ground, because when she was about to talk to Sasuke, he basically left to find a room. And I'm basically just looking at her, I'm like, how about I help you increase your taijutsu? Which, her eyes widen. I'm like, I'll be your own personal coach. Let's just say that much. Sakura. So, wait, what? But I never asked him, and you can't. I'm like, look, we're teammates, and you need all the help you can get. Besides, I just think to myself, then, I don't know if anything changed here, so. Yeah. Anyways, Sakura basically just looking at me, and then she'll just sign it like, alright, can you help me figure out a better tea? I'm like, sure. So, for the past 2 days, I helped Sakura out, and, well, basically I just learned some stuff from her too. Since, well, I didn't know how to really cook well in real life, and in the story I know how to cook little stuff and not big stuff. So, Sakura says she knows how to cook a little bit, and I say, really? I'm like, cool. Hey, we should cook together one time. She would chuckle at that, and yeah. So basically, I helped Sakura increase her taijutsu. I also helped her, gain, to basically eat normally instead of just dieting, which surprised some people that know her. And when the day comes for the actual fight, that will have to wait though, because it is full. So yeah, I basically feel myself dozing off. So I do think this is a good place to stop. Hope you guys liked it. Have a nice day and night wherever you are, and bye.